Here's a look at a recap of your markets on this Friday, the 13th day of June. Winners this week would be the cash feeders at the auction barns as well as the soybean market. Light negotiated feed trade this week. It's mostly steady in the north. The south closed the gap a little bit as they gained a bit of money. Taking a look at those numbers on the Fed cattle trade, 48,728 head as of the 2 o'clock cutoff time on Friday afternoon. Texas, 4,179 head this week, 234 to 235. Kansas, 8,759 head, mostly at 235 live. Iowa, 12,240, 240 to 241. Dress sales mostly at 380, a few up to 382. In Nebraska, 17,329 head, a few live sales at 240 to 242. Dress sales mostly at 380. Box beef cutout values sharply higher this week. Choice was up $12.80. $377.88 on Friday was the close. Select was up $6.77 compared to last Friday, closing on Friday at $363.50. The Choice Select spread setting at $14.38. Taking a look at the closing futures markets on Friday, it was an awful ugly day for the cattle futures. Unrest around the globe led to much lower markets on the stock market, and that spilled over into the cattle markets today as well. Live cattle for June down $3 and a dime, $225.10. August at $212.45, down $4.50. October at $209.92, down $4.42. August feeder cattle down $4.82, closing the week at $306.42. September $305.60, down $4.95. October at $303.35, down $5.10. For the week, that June live cattle contract down about $1. The rest of the contracts going to be $4 to $6 lower. Feeder cattle contracts mostly $4 lower. Lean hogs on Friday, June closed at 103.70 up a nickel. July 109.47 up 57. August 110.12 down a nickel. Taking a look at those indexes. The CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index, based on an 800-pound steer up through the 12-state feeding region, closed on Friday at an all-time record, 317.10. That yearling market really pulling the calf market along right now as we're getting into that time of year where yearlings are just awful hard to find, and when they do show up, they command some significant prices, especially where the market is now as a whole. The Missouri Stocker formula, based roughly on a 550-pound steer through the auction barns in the state of Missouri, it got close to the all-time record again, setting about $1 below it, currently at $393.03. Taking a look at some of the stick-out sales from around the state this week, when all was said and done, about 27,000 head went through the auction barns. A few of the stick-out sales include 27 head of 418-pound steers at Joplin, $480. 80 head of 506-pound steers at Joplin. They were tagged as thin, $467.50. The weight average price on those light 5 weights across the state this week, $411. Another 47 head of 572-pound steers at Joplin brought $432. 46 head of 620-pound steers at Callaway Livestock Center sold at $385. A full load of 667-pound steers at Lolly Brothers Livestock Market sold at $363. Had 32 head of 703-pound steers sell at South Central Regional Stockyards, $359 and a quarter. The average statewide on those light 7 weights this week at $338. 2 loads of 823-pound steers at Callaway brought $326.60. A load of 876-pound steers at Lolly Brothers Livestock Market, $321.85. Had a load of light 9 weights at Unionville Livestock Auction this week at $307 and a quarter. And then 2 loads of 982-pound steers at Ozarks Regional Stockyards in West Plains, Missouri, $278.75. Couple of stick-out sales on the heifer side this week. 63 head of 578-pound heifers tagged as fancy Joplin Regional Stockyards sold at $4.15. The average statewide on those light 5-weight heifers this week at $3.63. Then there was 3 full loads of 700 to 710 pound heifers at Lawley Brothers Livestock Market in Macon. All 3 loads brought $336.10. The average statewide on those light 7 weights at $323. Turning our attention to the grain markets now. At the elevators around the state on Friday, soybean bids 13 to 28 higher, wheat up 17 cents, corn 6 higher. The bean rally today, a result of some news about renewable fuel standards, and that sure pushed the beans higher today on possibilities of seeing some support there. For the week, soybeans around the state were mixed, 22 lower to 10 higher. Wheat was 11 lower, corn 3 to 4 higher. In St. Louis on Friday, corn bids $4.67, Kensie $4.54. Soybean bids St. Louis $10.90, Kensie $10.44 to $10.64. Wheat bids St. Louis $5.48 to $5.50, Kansas City at $5.38. Taking a look at the Board of Trade on Friday, corn July was up 6, $4.44.5. September up 4.28.5, up 2 1/4. December up 2.5 at 4.43. July beans closed at 10.69 3/4, up 27.5. August at 10.69 even, up 28. September 10.46 3/4, up 26.5. Wheat contracts July up 17 1/4, 5.43 3/4. September at 5.59 1/4, up 17.5. December at 5.80.5, up 17. Soybean meal for July down $2.60 a ton at $291.90. Soybean oil for July closed up $3 a hundredweight at $50.61. With the Missouri Department of Agriculture, that's a recap of your markets for Friday. This is Tony Hancock.